The NIST security control assessment process goes a little something like this. First, you're going to prepare. This is a preparation for the organization and a preparation for the control assessor themselves to look at the security control and privacy controls for the organization. What are the requirements for the organization? What will need to be done? All this needs to be hammered out. The who, what, when, where, and why needs to be hammered out. The requirements before the assessment is put together, before it's developed. Now, once you have prepared for this, the next step is to develop a plan. Which controls are we actually going to assess, and what are we going to do once we get there? Or if you happen to be an information system security officer or a cybersecurity professional who's doing the assessment yourself, you would create a plan to show, here's what I'm going to assess before you actually do it. You'd send that maybe to management or whoever stakeholders need to see it. You'd send that to them. And it actually is going to be a documentation that you can follow. So you know, okay, I know that our frequency of control assessments are biannually. So these 3 assessments on these 4 families needs to be done. And next year, we won't cover those 3 assessments on those 4 families. We're going to cover another set of families for this or that system. So that's why a plan is very important to the documentation process. Once you have the plan of attack in place and you documented this, you're going to conduct the actual security control assessment. The security control assessment is done with different assessment objectives in mind, and you're going to do certain methods of assessment. And those methods include, but are not limited to, testing the actual physical mechanisms that are in place, the technical mechanisms that are in place, doing interviews, and actually examining documentation. Those are some of the methods that you would do to figure out if the organization has effectively implemented their security controls. And then finally, you're going to put all of the control assessment data into a security assessment report. So that report is your analysis of what's going on with the risk itself to the organization from that particular system. And these are normally system-based. When I say organization, we're not looking at the entire organization at once. Typically, we're looking at one system within an organization that's going to go through this entire process. Or maybe 2 systems or 3 systems that are being assessed at once, but each one is going to have their own plan, and each one's going to have their own security assessment report. And those results, that you don't see it on this particular image, but after you do this, there's sometimes an after action meeting that you'll have with the organization or with the stakeholders to go down what they need to do to fix these results and what needs to happen when the assessor leaves or when the assessor is done with the actual report itself. Because that assessment typically goes to management. It typically goes to the CEO, the heads of agency, so that they can see the results of that and they'll know what actions to take next.